incredible homemade yogurt in our own kitchen at home. And we're going to start out with very simple ingredients. We have first our half gallon of organic milk, keeping in mind that you can use a half-gallon milk, or if you want to use a full gallon, that's fine too, keeping in mind that the volume of milk is going to produce your volume of yogurt. So we have our milk, we need a thermometer, a wooden spoon to stir, and your culture or starter. I happen to use Body Ecology's kefir starter, and in this box are several packets. I only need one packet. So to begin with today, we're going to pour our milk into a sufficiently sized pot. We're going to insert our thermometer. I like the thermometer that has a clip on the back because I can put that thermometer in the depth of the pot that I want. Then we're going to turn our oven or stove on to low, and I'm going to put the cover on to retain the heat. We want to get this milk up to 180 degrees, and that's going to allow the proteins to break down and get our milk up to the point where we can add our culture. We are now at our about 10-minute mark of our organic milk heating. So in the interim, we have stirred it. We don't want the milk to curdle, so we continue to stir it. And at 10 minutes, we're about at 160 degrees. So we're going to be waiting just a little bit until we can get just a little higher on that. In the meantime, we're going to get a few other things ready. We have a scooper to take some of our warm milk, put it into another container to cool slightly to be able to add our starter. So first thing I'm going to do is open this packet, and I'm going to add the starter in here, because once this gets to 180, we want to take some of that milk, once again cool it down to at least 100 degrees, and then add it into here, stir this up, and bring that back into our volume of milk. So we're going to wait just a few more minutes and continue to stir until we get this yogurt, or excuse me, this milk up to the 180 degrees. The yogurt has now reached the 180 degrees that we want, so we're going to shut our stove off. Coming forward, we're going to make our yogurt in the oven. So I'm going to preheat my oven right now to the lowest temperature, which on my stove is 70 degrees. So I'm preheating my oven to 170. In the meantime, I'm going to take my yogurt and cool it down to the 100-degree temperature so we can start our culture process. So I'm going to take my thermometer out, and I'm actually going to put my milk in a ice water bath that's going to allow that cooling to occur a little bit faster, otherwise it takes quite a while. So at this point, I'm going to just stir this a little bit, and then I'm going to bring it over into my ice bath to complete the process of cooling. So I put the yogurt into a sink of cold water, and I'm also going to add some ice cubes to bring that water temperature down, since the warm milk is obviously warming that up. So what I'm also going to do while that's cooling is stir a little bit, and that's going to help that as well. I'm going to also insert the thermometer so I know when I get down to that 100-degree mark. And it really doesn't take too long to get that down with this cold water and with stirring. Ready to incorporate the milk into the starter and then that into our milk. Also, when we're heating this milk to 180 degrees, we are killing any bacteria, although all of the milk that you buy today is pasteurized, so that's not as much of a problem, but it is very important to get that up to 180 degrees and then bring it back down. So at this point, I am going to add a little bit of milk into my starter. It doesn't matter how much. We just want to make sure that that starter gets very well incorporated into the milk. So when we stir it back into our other volume of milk, we have everything very well mixed. So I'm going to pour my mixed milk and culture into my bowl, and I'm going to stir that very well. And at this point, our hard work is done. So from this point forward, what we're going to be doing is making our yogurt in our oven. So once I'm done stirring and getting this very well incorporated, I'm going to put the cover back on. And then I'm going to wrap our pot and our yogurt into bath towels, cozy it up a little bit so it retains the temperature. Our milk and starter are now incorporated, and now we need to allow this to culture itself for about 12 hours. So to do that, I'm going to take 3 bath towels and I'm going to cozy up our pot to keep this as warm as we can before we put it into the oven. So I'm very easily just going to cozy up this one, and I use 2 bath towels just to be sure it stays warm. Alright, so we're all cozied up. Our next step then is to put our pot into our oven. Now remember, our oven is preheated. We're now going to shut that oven off and turn the oven light on. So with the insulation of the oven and the light bulb being on and this being in the oven, oven's off, remember, and this is going to sit in our oven for 12 hours. So that's my next step, and it goes into the oven, and then I'll be back in time lapse of 12 hours and we'll see how our yogurt's looking. Welcome back 12 hours later. Now we're going to take a look at our yogurt and see what it looks like. So let's open the oven and see what we see. So we're taking out our little baby here. We're going to put it on the counter, unwrap it, and take a look at what we have. All right, so we're unwrapping our yogurt from our blankets or our towels, whatever you'd prefer to use. We're going to take a look and see the consistency of the yogurt. And as you can see, it's beautiful, it's jiggly like Jell-O, and it has exactly the right consistency that we want. You may also notice a little bit of the way on top. I don't know if you can see that or not, but just a little bit of liquid on top, and what we're going to do is just incorporate that into the yogurt, or you can drain it off. Actually, I'm going to prefer to drain it off at this point, and then we'll be scooping our yogurt into our jars. So I'm just going to drain off this little bit and set that aside. And now we're going to be ready to put our yogurt into the jars. Now remember, we said that the volume of milk that you use will equal the volume of yogurt as your end result. So I used a half a gallon of milk, and I used 1 packet of starter culture. So I should come up with 8 half pints is what I like to put the yogurt into. I should come up with 8 half pints of yogurt. So yes, indeed, we ended up with 8 half pints or 8 ounces. So 8 times 8 is 64, which equals the volume of milk that we used. I want to open one of these and just show you what the consistency looks like in your homemade yogurt. So you can see it's nice and thick. And so good. So to serve my family, what I will do is I can make a parfait. I can layer yogurt with berries, with nuts. I can top it. I can make it so pretty in a nice little dish. And of course I will refrigerate this, and we will have an awesome supply of yogurt for the week. Very simple to make from beginning to end in preparation, probably 25 minutes or less, and then of course your 12 hours of oven time. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. We will be doing other videos as well, and just making you enjoy your kitchen, in the beautiful kitchen that you've worked so hard for, and inspiring you with a little bit of creativity so you feel right at home in that kitchen.